16 years ago, Paris lacked a platform where students could unify as they attempted to solve pressing global challenges which lie ahead for future generations. Dearest delegates, student officers, MUN advisors, members of the administrative staff, friends, and guests, 16 years later, with great joy and excitement, it is my honor to stand here and welcome all of you to the 16th annual session of Paris Model United Nations. For all my life, I have been someone who has constantly moved every 3 years. And this may be a lifestyle I share with many of you here today. And so every time I've walked down the slender arrow bridges and left one continent, moved to another and changed my lifestyle, I have learned something. With change comes knowledge. And accompanied with that comes the inevitable responsibility. First and foremost, the responsibility of tolerance. This year, the executive team set a theme of seeking to action global responsibilities. Not just responsibilities of governments and politicians, but responsibilities of countries to each other, responsibilities of the United Nations, and responsibilities of a single human being. It is no secret that our Earth is brimming with chaos. Whether it be the myriad of devastating civil wars caused by those who desire to intimidate and whose strongest weapon is using the spark of fear, or whether it be the breaking of our fragile and delicate atmosphere as those who are avariciously selfish shatter and demolish the balance of nature, or whether it be the unscrupulous governments draining the funds required for progress, or the sexual abuse women are enduring all over the world, or even the screams of those refugees traveling indescribably exasperating journeys, fleeing chaos, yet still running into chaos. And in such times, humanity looks towards the United Nations, a beacon of hope, responsibility, and action. Vested in the United Nations Charter is the hope of tackling the multitude of issues we face today and trying to establish peace. Yet we live in a constantly evolving world which is both accelerating and progressing. Thus, can a charter which was signed and enforced in 1945 achieve what it desires in the 21st century and forwards? In a world where the global dynamics continuously shift, is the idea of attaining peace through peace practical in this modern era? I am going to be asking a lot of questions today. Questions which provoke and evoke. Questions which for some can be answered and for others most likely cannot be answered. And so I ask, can we defeat ISIS without war? Can we end the Boko Haram insurgency without bloodshed? And these are undoubtedly uneasy questions, either because for some we don't know the answer, or for others we don't like the answer. It is important for all of us to consider that our responsibility is to sometimes deal with these questions, deal with the fact that we don't live in a perfect world, and if we don't do anything about it, we may never even get close. And yes, what I'm about to say will be cliched, and I do not doubt you have heard this before, but it is up to all of you. Time will not stop for us to make up our minds. Corrupt governments will continue to embezzle money, weather patterns will continue to violently fluctuate, terrorists will illegally acquire arms, civilians will be murdered, refugees will run, territories will be disputed, those in poverty will continue to be hungry, and economic development will continue to be consistently staggering in LADCs. The Taliban will continue to terrorize Afghanistan. Boko Haram's army of child soldiers will only grow. The Mexican drug war will lead to more slaughter, and both Iraqi and Syrian families will continue to break apart. These are events happening right now and have been for over a year. And these statistics only threaten to climb and grow. So I urge you to ask yourselves, who am I? What am I going to fight for the next 3 days and for the rest of my life? What is my voice going to do? Is it going to be lost in a sea of passiveness? Or is it going to ignite change? You may observe the dubiously unpredictable world we live in, and you may lose hope. You may have fear. You may have anger. You may have even accepted the fact that such a large portion of humanity lacks integrity, compassion, and tolerance. And you may want to give up. If I may say so, that is natural. But that only must be a fleeting thought. We require the courage of humanity in such times. And yes, it is an undoubtedly arduous task to muster that courage, but now, more than ever, we are being tested. Our dedication to our responsibilities are being tested. The responsibility is yours, the capability is yours, and so the decision is ultimately yours. Aung San Suu Kyi is an example of such a decision. Spending 15 years under house arrest, overcoming the death of her father and brother, acting as a woman in politics, Madame Suu Kyi fought to end the dictatorial and corrupt rule of the military junta in Myanmar. The government deemed her to be likely to undermine the community's stability and offered her freedom if she left the country. But she refused. She stayed. She fought. Not with guns or ammunition, but entirely with her uplifting presence of grace, inspiration, and hope. During her time under house arrest, she was denied from seeing her children for extended periods of time and was even hospitalized. Yet after those 15 years of struggle, she serves as the first state counselor of Myanmar today. And she is the first woman to hold such a position in her country. She thought she had a responsibility to her country, and she acted upon it. She made the decision to act upon it. However, change is always not required to be on such a great level. For example, Isa and Rafael Mayeno are two co-CEOs of a company called SALT, Sustainable Alternative Lighting. Both of them observed that several households near the ocean in Southeast Asia did not have access to electricity. Consequently, civilians had to wake up every morning at 2 a.m., walk several kilometers, buy kerosene, and burn their lamps. However, besides this painful journey, kerosene would often combust, spill, and act as a safety hazard. And so with their combined knowledge of engineering, electrochemistry, and marketing, they created cheap lamps which simply required an electrolyte, or commonly found salt water, to power these lamps up for families for up to 8 hours. Calling their product a social movement, they were able to sell several of these lamps in the Philippines especially. The Mayeno siblings have been internationally recognized and won numerous awards for this innovation. In the next few days, I expect to see brilliance. And for many of you, I understand this may be one of your first, if not your first conference. And I understand the natural hesitation which accompanies this. However, someone very wise sitting in this room once told me, experience is nothing in the face of passion. And I hope all of you hear this. It is nothing to do with how much experience you have had. It is to do with the words stuck at the back of your throat urging to be enunciated. It is the fervor to voice an opinion. It is the conviction in the argument. Passion cannot be recreated. It is a unique and lone starting spark to lead greatness. And so I ask once again, What is your voice going to do? For the next 3 days, and for the rest of your life. Thank you.